Hi, Sag. Welcome to those of you who are new to the Provide Tribe. Okay? If you've been here, then you know you're a provider. That's what I call them. It's kind of cute, right? Providence Tarot. I'm Kendrick. If you have not shared, liked, comment, or subscribed, or any of that, do that this time. It's been a while. I'm sorry. I just literally stopped staring into a candle, so I'm like, whoa. Hey Tanisha, how are you? Oh my goodness. I like when I was staring into the candle right before I hit live, who you are? I know a lot of people that are Sag rising, or I know a couple, maybe one for sure, and that is my mom. But I'm pretty sure that I've talked to someone else who told me that they were a Sag rising recently. Thank you for liking the video. Okay, so I think I'm ready. I'm going to be using the Druid Craft Tarot. Hey, Connie, what's up? And then I'm going to be using the Druid Oracle, the Druid Animal Oracle. All right, so I'm going to shuffle this 3 times for you, Sag, and then I'm going to get going. It's probably been a while since you have gotten like a monthly from me. You've gotten like proofreads, and now the proofreads are a little bit longer. They're 15 minutes each or somewhere around there, if the message is that long. And then, I'll post it here. And I'll do about 2 to 4. 4 is like the max proofreads that I would do in 1 month. That's if things are really flowing and I'm not like super busy. Okay, Prince of Wands, this is you. This is your energy. We're living for it, okay? Work. This is your reading. One more time. But yeah. Anyway, let me get focused. Work. I don't really like surprises, and I don't like when unexpected things happen, even though I have a ton of Sag. I have like 4 Sag placements. One of them is my South Node, but there's kind of a stellium in Sag for me, and the 2 planets that want to be there are there, and then I have another crazy planet there too. So, anyway, I'm gonna read these 2 cards that fell out. And I'm going to do an ascendant spread. So I have to cut these cards actually now, which I haven't done yet. And now I'm gonna lay them out. So the ascendant spread, it looks kind of like a pyramid. Ooh, I don't wanna cover that up. Okay. These 2 extra ones can go here. And that's the immediate influence. Okay, work. So let me go ahead and keep the deck turned over. I don't want to look at the bottom yet. I want to look at these 2 cards that fell out. Okay, so the 10 of Swords came out and the 2 of Pentacles came out. So the 2 of Pentacles talks about how you might be feeling, like you are succumbing to your restrictions, right? Like you're going ahead and starting to reduce certain ways that you might be consuming things with this 2 of Pentacles energy here, because the 2 is related to the High Priestess, right? Which talks about kind of like discomfort, right? Vulnerabilities, yeah? Or feeling kind of like victimized by your circumstances, right? So you could be feeling victimized by some sort of circumstance in regards to work, making money, traveling. This could even be like, it's Jupiter and Capricorn, so it's kind of like getting control of the finances or being in control of things as things progress, right? Maintaining a sense of steady progress. It is improvements, but it's improvements that happen slowly. You're almost there, you're getting there. But the 10 of Swords is saying that something ended, right? There was something that ended that brought you maybe some mental stress in the past or some psychological stress. You know, this is a card that talks about ruin. It's a card that talks about a multitude of reasons why something had to end and why something came to an end. And it talks about what you learned throughout a process, you know, and it was a process that happened from its infancy all the way to its maturity. So this talks about something, you know, exceeding and getting to its the limit and reaching your limit or reaching your point of something with something, you know. You got enough reasons why too. You're like, oh, you know, it's justified a little bit because it's swords, so it is ideas, it's concepts, you know, it's thought patterns, definitely. And it's trying to it's adding and subtracting. It's all of that. It's like doing the math, you know? You've done the math. You've gone through all of the equations, the sequencing of things, right? You experience some consequences throughout the process, you know, and it has shown you you've gotten insight. And now you're like, okay, now that this is over, I can go in this new direction here with Jupiter and Capricorn. Because Capricorn is talking about what you are cultivating, what you're building, right? But it also talks about what you have stacked up against you. This is a card of being like the odds are stacked up against me in some kind of way, but they're not. You know, you're just at something is in its infancy, right? Like you came from the infancy of something and went to its maturity. And now something else has, you've experienced the change, but it's still in its infancy, right? But you might still be thinking about the past too, because it's related to the high priestess. So it talks about the past, right? Because that's Pisces. But then it's related to the second house of Taurus, which is talking about limited attachments, right? Wanting to do a lot with a little, or being able to do a lot with a little, because you have to. You've been, you know, this is kind of like what this change is asking of you, is demanding of you. So something is being a lot, is being very demanding. For you to see change, you have to really allow, you know, because it's a two, related to Taurus and Pisces. You have to allow, and Capricorn, because sometimes Capricorn can be a little bit stubborn, going with the flow of something. Allow the change to happen in a way where you'll be able to receive the benefits of the change and be able to see them. You have to see past the veil. See past the veil of restrictions, you know, because sometimes our restrictions create a veil for us. They create a boundary for us. We feel like we are like being like we're being prevented from doing something. But then it's kind of like the restrictions are preventing us as a veil from seeing the opportunities. It's a two, it's related to the high priestess, that's Pisces, that's Jupiter and Neptune. And then it's Jupiter and Capricorn, right? Capricorn is very opportunistic, definitely, taking the right time. You know, this is saying this is the right time. Being able to, like, you know, be diligent, planning wise, good planning, you know. You're going to get to the results that you want. You just are right now in a period of change. Very transient, you know. You're going to have to let go of some old attachments. And you're realizing how moving probably, or going somewhere else, or doing something differently, or being in a different environment, or the change in the work environment, it's like you're going to have to adapt to this change, right? But you're going to have to exercise your mind here, right? And take some risks and do some things that might make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, or just kind of like make you feel like you aren't able to be all of the things that you were, or do all of the things that you did, or see all of the things, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that. But it's okay. Anyway, those are just the two cards that fell out. So let's get into the real reading. Let me have some water. You know, it's kind of like think big, dream big. You have big dreams, and it's like we can't get there like right away. We know where we want to go, and sometimes where we want to go, like that dream, it's like a picture in our mind. It's very idealistic, you know what I mean? It's like a very, it's something that we painted. It's almost kind of like an artificial idea of what our potential is. And you have to like let the change happen and stuff like that, and you'll be able to see where it's going as long as you allow yourself to go with the changes and things and feel challenged. within the changes and motivated within those challenges and all of that stuff. Don't be discouraged either. That's what that card says too. Don't be discouraged. Don't be fooled by the veil that the restrictions make you, don't be confused by the veil that is, you know, based on the restrictions. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like it's a veil. There's stuff happening still, right? Anyway, whew, child, let me not get too tongue-tied. Let's flip over the first card, shall we? Nine of Cups, Jupiter and Pisces. Didn't I talk about Pisces and didn't I talk about Jupiter? Opportunities, looking forward towards the future. You know, it's kind of like, wow, now I have the opportunity to have something else mutable that I've wanted as well. Ninth house, Sag, and then also Virgo because it's number 9, the Hermit. So it's related to that. What are your new goals? What's on the horizon now? What are the new plans, right? You know, and make sure that you're not, yeah, make sure that you're being kind of like logical, right, and being patient too, because this is like water, you know what I mean? And it's a 9. So it's kind of like, whoa, you know, it's got the energy of Sag and it's got Virgo too. So there's a little bit of a square here. You can only do one thing at a time. You know what I mean? Right? You can only do one thing at a time. So it's kind of like, as long as you practice patience and you allow yourself to be methodical, right? But also go with your gut and your intuition about things and take some risk, but it's kind of like you have to have some detail and some plan. It can't all be dreams, you know? Right? But it's like, go for it. But be realistic about your goals. Okay? So here we go. Let's look at what is crossing that 9 of Cups. The Lady, which is the Empress. And I love that because this is a period of growth. It's a point of learning, a period of learning, a period of growth, point of learning. You know what I mean? And it talks about being able to acknowledge what you have because it's Taurus and it's Libra, and it's also a little bit of Pisces because it's coming from the High Priestess, and Venus is exalted in Pisces, okay? So even though we want things to be ideal, right? Her ideal situation would be that this baby will be out, right? But you can't rush growth, exactly. Okay? When it's meant to happen, it's going to happen, you know? Also, being pregnant too. Some people get pregnant in like the craziest instances, right? Some people have been trying to get pregnant for so long, with help from doctors and stuff, and then when they kind of like when they're like not doing it or taking a break from it or something like that or not really planning for it, it like happens, right? In the way that they didn't think that it would happen before. But it's kind of like timing is everything too, because the Lady is related to Saturn because Saturn is 21, right? And that is the world. And Saturn is exalted in Libra, which Venus rules. Okay? So I feel like Sagittarius right now, we are in an earth sign. So it's kind of like not really there for you in that way. It squares you too. Yeah, that's what's going on. It's hard to get pregnant, right? I bet it is. But you know what? It's because like we pick up on the things that are going on around us, our environment, right? It's kind of being stressed out about the news, what you eat, what you take in, what you allow yourself to kind of like be inspired by, you know how delicate your body is or how sensitive your body is, and very strong too when it's pregnant. But think about like the gateway that allows your body to be able to receive that energy, of like getting pregnant. I mean, obviously your body has a cycle and there's a pattern and timing, right? So make sure that is first, the timing of your body and the rhythm of your body and stuff like that. And then you work from there. So it's like if you're not getting enough sleep and you're tired, it's probably going to be harder to get pregnant. If you're stressed out about something, it's probably going to be harder to get pregnant. You know what I mean? right? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, like, it probably, if there's something going on, just kind of like if you need to kind of pull away from some things that might be worrying you, then maybe you would get pregnant easier, faster, quicker. I don't know. It's kind of like when people are like, where is he? Where are they? Where is she? You know, I'm ready to get married. It's like when they're not looking, that's when it happens. Anyway, but this is also talking about your creative self, the part of you that needs to stay inspired. I feel each time I'm trying, my body stops from my penis. I think it returns. It's weird. Have you spoken to your doctor about that? That might be actually something you want to do. Um, because Virgo is kind of like that because it's like uh, diagnosis and diagnostics and things like that and coming up with ways to treat symptoms and things like that and looking at the symptoms. That's very Virgo. So Virgos make really awesome doctors, psychologically and physically, physicians too. Um, yeah, but the lady is talking about appreciating everything that is right now in this moment, you know, and it's talking about creativity too. What are your creative goals? Because some people's creative goals are to be a mother. Some people's creative goals are to, leave the place that they've always been and go and do something else. Or maybe, moving, right? Because this says like some of you might even be thinking about moving just because, you might want to. But beauty too. The lady is beauty. The lady is security. The lady is also comfort. So, thinking about your comfort levels. Are you ready for certain things to happen? Are you ready to grow into certain versions of yourself? You know what I mean? How have you set yourself up for growth and opportunity and stuff like that? Where are you looking for the things that you need to be inspired by that make you feel like life is constantly moving? If it's not moving forward, it needs to stay moving. So this is saying like not to get bored as well, right? Try to keep yourself busy doing something, you know? Also, your physical body needs that time and it also needs that attention. This also speaks to the inner child, obviously, because when you're pregnant, there's a child inside of you. But figuratively and metaphorically, it speaks to the inner child. You know what I mean? So, are you giving attention, third house, Gemini? Are you paying attention to that inner child that needs to be nurtured forever? Whatever that is. You know what I mean? It doesn't really mean that you need to be playing with a spirograph or a light bright or an etch-a-sketch or jumping a rope. You could. But it talks about, going to the gym, working out, cooking, changing your furniture in your apartment or your house, rearranging it, getting involved with crystals, that type of thing, you know? There's my message, inner child. I've been thinking about her since I've had some endings. Yes. And it's so crazy because your inner child, it's like, think about all of the lessons that you learn as you grow older, right? And you experience relationships and you learn about like what your attachments were that you let go of, because you have chosen to let go of some attachments before. Some of your attachments have been taken away from you, like been taken out of your mom, right? And then moving away from college, for college, or stuff like that. So it talks about like the attachments too. So we have an attachment to our inner child, and that inner child needs to constantly be, you know, given the attention that it needs from us, right? Because we sort of begin to parent ourselves as we get older. But, you know, like I said, doing certain things that allow you to connect with nature and to connect with your spirit, and also keeping your vibrational energy up, right? Because it also talks about creating very healthy boundaries that are going to be great and pivotal for you, that are going to be crucial to your development, as a person, okay? And also thinking about, if some of you already have children, thinking about what their development is like, okay? And what the possibilities are for them, right? I was never really someone that people encouraged to do much, but like get good grades and things like that. I allow her. Okay, great. That's beautiful. No expectations. Um, I just knew that I wanted to do like things that were creative, but I'm naturally creative, you know what I mean? Like, I knew that I wanted to play an instrument, right? That's being creative, starting early. I was interested in stuff like gymnastics and dance. I wasn't in a place of like being able to afford to do those things like a lot of other kids might have been in my neighborhood or in my town. But I was born in Mississippi, you guys, so there wasn't really a lot going on. But I was definitely very creative in my mind, and so I feel like that helped me develop into the person that you see here before you today. So if I would have never done any of those things, and also like if I had never moved to Atlanta and all of this other stuff, like I probably would have never gotten into Julia. I would have never moved to all of this stuff. So allowing yourself and your children to be creative, it's like opening doors for them. You know what I mean? And it takes out it takes the mundaneness out of life. Just going to school, graduating, going to college. All right, getting a job, kids. It's like, what else do you do? Because it's like when people get older and when people mature, they're going to be searching for ways to keep themselves, inspired in life. And if they've never practiced that habit of doing that, right, the habit of staying inspired, then when you get older you're just going to feel like you don't have anything to do, and you're going to be bored with life, and you're going to like look to other stuff to kind of like satisfy that void that's missing inside of you, which is really just the inner child that you're ignoring. I need some water. I'm glad I'm doing it. Y'all got me drinking water. See, that's why Jupiter and Neptune. I did. I sure did. I sure did. I got invited. Okay, that's the tea. hmm Honey, and it was crazy as hell. I was crazy as hell. I feel like I should have started this and done this type of thing then. But let me tell you, the messages that were coming about when I was there and I was shenanigan carrying around New York City, country boy moved to New York City. But I learned a lot. I got Pluto and Saturn in my first house, so what? Bring it. you know, so I creep. I used to. That was when I was single and stuff. Anyway, so yes, it's like, but I was already a creative being. So I had stuff that was like taking me away from people that were like eating my energy, consuming my energy. That's also, be aware of what is consuming your energy too, right? Child, it changes. It changes. I'm just me. I have flaws. I have hangups. I have standards. I have some surprises about me. You were born at Aunt Saint Cecile's Day, patron saint of the arts. Yes, but I definitely see myself as sort of like a Renaissance person. I listen to music from many different ages, many different time periods. Like I like Baroque music. I like different instruments, like the instruments that people like don't play today. I love listening to music from the 20s, 30s. Anyway, I don't. Oh, yes, look. Anyway, enough about me. But yes, you have to nurture, feed, spend time with the inner child, all of that stuff. You know what I mean? I live for all of that. I still have some creative projects that I need to do sort of here that involve like cutting, and I want to paint some things. So get into that. Let's look at your past. This is going to be a long reading. Bam, there's the Hermit. I already brought it up before. So the Hermit is talking about the past experiences of kind of getting to your end point with something and feeling like, what else is there? What more is there? This is a point of inner discovery within oneself, but it's kind of like, what is my new foundation, and how have my philosophies changed now that I've gone through these Saturns? Well, some of you might be going through a Saturn return, first or second. But now that I've gone through these cycles, how have I changed? You know what I mean? Something about me has had to mature. You know, if it's not anything physically, then it's kind of like the way that I think. Or even the way that I speak now. A lot of times, but this is realizing how you have changed. But this is also an inner search, inner quest, right? Search for what are my goals now? What else is there to do now? But this is also working on that point of view, that light within, paying attention to that, right? And we're coming from Leo, the strength card. We're coming from Leo, right? And it's kind of like you've gotten far away from it. You've gotten far away from that illumination, or you've turned away from that, right? So I feel like some people sometimes they turn away from that light, especially if you had a bad childhood. Sometimes you try to block that out, but that's not the thing. It's not about blocking out the past. Don't block it out, because it's always going to be there. But look, you have options. You see, you're not at the end here, right? You're getting a good view of the big picture, perspective, epiphany, changes of thought patterns, and change in your path too, right? But it's kind of like learning those lessons and going through those things. So now let's look at what's going on in your sun position. Princess of Cups, that's children, right? Young people. Or this is just kind of like you being at a new emotional developmental stage, right? So, and the Hermit kind of like speaks to that too, just because it's a 9 and it's related to the moon, which is an 18, and the moon is like a water card, and so it's the Princess of Cups. But you are learning how to cope with those emotions that are still attached to your inner child, right? That type of thing. And we're talking about healing the inner child here too. I love this. Look at that. Root chakra work, because there's red here. It's love and creative passions. And it's also healing that comes from creativity. And I mean that in many different ways, because sometimes when people have children, it's a healing process for them. Let it go. Right, let it go. Because sometimes, people are dealing with their own issues, right? People are dealing with their own issues. And sometimes the way that you see them in your life is just, it's kind of like a reflection of what they went through themselves, So, yeah. But, yeah, like I was about to say, but sometimes you do have to create boundaries, right? Okay, you got 3 9s here. So you definitely are like there has distance going somewhere, boundaries, change of patterns, changing the landscape, right? That type of thing, you know what I mean? And you could be in the same place and you're just changing the landscape just because you may be adapting to some new placements, like literally like foundation, like where you stand. You know what I mean? Because this is like, where do I stand now? Right? I understand. See? Okay? And this is definitely being wounded from some past experiences, and now you might be feeling a little bit guarded, right? Or you just might be feeling guarded because you're like, you might be hurt from something. And this is also kind of like just, yeah, setting some boundaries in place that are going to keep you from getting hurt again, that type of thing, right? But then at the same time, it's going to allow you to focus on yourself too. This is like your card. It's Moon and Sagittarius. You got a lot of 9s, obviously, you know? Okay. You guys know in esoteric astrology, Sagittarius is ruled by the Earth. So the World card is partially yours too, on a deeper level. And the world card is a 3. And so is the lady, right? And the pages are ruled by Saturn, I believe. So like, yes. So a point of emotional growth is happening. This is just a change in how you are motivated by things. You know, so you might be feeling emotionally motivated in a new way, and this is creating new memories. To be honest with you, I've been thinking about that a lot lately. Creating new memories. Because sometimes I get so wrapped up in like thinking about the past, and not necessarily like love relationships, but like places that I used to go and neighborhoods that I used to be in a lot. And, you know, and that's kind of more like a New York City thing, because it's like I can just hop on the train and like go back to my own neighborhood and walk around. But some of you might drive cars and you may not live that, you know what I mean? So for me, that's kind of like how my point of nostalgia hits for me. So sometimes I'll be like, oh. But then I'm like, you know what, bitch, you're like in new places too. You're meeting new people. You should just allow yourself to do that. And I got hit on yesterday on the street, and it was kind of by a different type of person, and I was kind of into it. But you know, like I said, that old me. But you know, I still like getting hit on. Anyway, what am I talking about? But this is in the moon position. So this talks about really being kind of like, I know, right? It talks about being not so permissive, right? And you're not as permissive because some people may have overstepped their boundaries in the past, or you just may feel like for you, emotionally, boundaries may have been crossed by way of physical actions, or by the way that someone did something, or about the recklessness of the way, right? Or maybe there were things that maybe were said, because it does talk about communication with Sagittarius, and with it being a 9 of Hermit, right? Quality, Virgo, Mercury. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the boundaries are there. Whatever. Yeah, sometimes you gotta do it, right? For your own good. Look, anxieties, right? And it's directly related to the moon. Right. This is emotional trauma, or this is pain, emotional pain that came from a relationship. Or, like I said, you know, this is a little bit of a progression. It is a progression from the Six of Cups, and the Six of Cups is nostalgia. But this is like nostalgia in the not so great way. So this is like thinking about relationships. You know, this is what brings you anxiety too. The things that you spend time thinking, weighing out emotionally, coping with, trying to weigh things out emotionally. Water is heavy, you know? It is. It really is. You know, it's heavy. Water is heavy. So emotions too. So you have to learn from the experience. And don't be confused, because someone could be using their power in a relationship and being emotionally manipulative as well, some kind of way. And this is also talking about like not being able to go back to experiencing old emotions. They're stale. And it's like you can't go back and fix something that has already played out. You can't go back and change something that has already played out. And this is also talking about having fear and anxiety of someone that you know, or someone that you are in a relationship with, having like a sexual addiction, or, you know, a porn addiction, or drinking, or like doing some kind of excessive consumption of substances or something like that, you know, because this card does come up when it talks about that. And then it also talks about not feeling able, right, to leave a situation that actually isn't serving your best interest. You know, because the sevens talk about victory, And this card is not victory. It's like the only way you will achieve victory is seeing that you have to prioritize your emotions over and how you feel over the way someone might be affecting you emotionally and how you are triggered to feel about them and how you relate to them. You know what I mean? Because where they at? 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 Ew. Right? You're definitely reflecting on some toxic stuff. And sometimes we're not with them. We're not around them. We have created a boundary. There has been an emotional boundary too sometimes. Or maybe there's a boundary, but then it's like we still think about them, right? Because maybe it's sex too, you know? Because this is Venus and Scorpio, so this talks about sex, needing that, maybe needing that expression in your life, because that's an aspect of your life. It's a part of the birth chart. So all of those different areas need attention, right? And this talks about searching for emotional validation, maybe in the wrong places. And this is where you need to look, because that's where it is right there. You are more stable than the delusions that you make up. And so don't rely on that, right? Stop going there, right? And if you let it pass through, because this is related to the Chariot, feel it. Be like, whoa. And they be like, man, you just like, whoa, because they made you feel like, you weren't able to control the situation, right? Maybe you feel like it got out of control, and you're not the type of person to let something get out of control, you know? What up, bright one? Okay, yeah. Anyway, because that's in the anxieties. And when that's in the anxieties, that's kind of like, damn, worrying about something. I don't know. It's a relationship in some kind of way. It could also even be like a job, not getting something that you wanted, right? Not getting something that you wanted, or being able to get something that you needed or achieve something that you needed. Because this was kind of like I was on my way to success, and then something kind of just like, mess it up. Because the sevens are a point of completion. Think about it, 7 wives, 7 days out of the week, you know, 7 deadly sins. Okay. But the advantage here is saying, like, what's in the here and the now, living in the moment. Anyway, you got to be passionate about yourself first before you can be passionate about a relationship. So let's go ahead and see what's in your Mars position. Yes. Ace of Swords, which is still kind of like reflecting back to this Ten of Swords that you got at the beginning of the reading. So, like I said, focusing on yourself, right? Right? Focusing on yourself. Breath of fresh air, you know? Being able to recover from something in your spirit, in your mind. It's a new idea. It's a new way of thinking. Change of perspective, right? Or a new perspective. Okay? This is good because it's saying that like a new process has been initiated, right? You can see yourself kind of like starting over in some kind of way. This is also a card of survival. Hello. Work. In the Mars position? What? This is a card of survival, honey. You can't take that. You can't take it. And Aries, for me, is ruled by Mars and Pluto, just like Scorpio. It's just giving you fire and water. You know what I mean? And there's just kind of like, that's how I've studied it. But if you want to take it away from them, then I wouldn't. From Aries, I wouldn't get in your face. But you know what? Mercury is the esoteric ruler of Aries, okay? And Aries rules the first house. So this is kind of like that on a deeper level, right? Okay. I'm living for survival. And Aries is talking about survival. Hello. And Mars is talking about that too, right? And focusing on yourself, focusing on you. That's how you survive too. I mean, if there's an extension of you, like your children, then yeah, yes. But when you're at battle, you're really focusing on yourself. You're trying to make sure that you live. You know what I mean? And that's good because it's like focusing on yourself is going to get you better results, right? I'm single. Some of you may have cut ties with someone, maybe a male, because it's in the Mars position, right? Mm-hmm. Taking the emotions out of it. Taking the emotions out of it. Am I good with the sounds? Let me look at your Venus position. Oh, work. I just made all them water sounds, right? Shh. Whatever. It was better the first time. And in your Venus position, hello, right? Still focus on yourself. You're going to get more out of it. Like I said, emotionally, more emotionally fulfilling. Listen. This is what your anxieties are, right? About a relationship, because it's 7. Also, it could be about the mother. Some of you could be experiencing having some toxicity going on with you and your mom about something. Or even your married partner. Sometimes this card could be talking about divorce. But anyway, let's look at this Ace of Cups in the Venus position, which is relationships. Bam, right there, right? So we've gotten further along in the reading, and now it went from 7 of Cups to Ace of Cups. So you must have paid attention to something. Something must have happened. Okay, or something will be happening, but you're definitely gonna be going through that. So get ready. And if you've already gone through it, then it's kind of like the aftermath. It's kind of like, because it's kind of like putting this to an end, right? Because what comes after this, right? It's the 8 of Cups. So you're gonna have to choose to walk away from the emotional attachment you have to something. Anyway, here we go, because this is kind of like being emotionally detached from something and it being emotionally attached to yourself. Look, yes, look at all of the flow, because this is kind of like what you're blessed with when you do what is meant to be done. Okay, right, bam, and your energy moving forward. Yeah. You got to do the right thing. You got to do the right thing. You got to do the right thing. But if the right thing is going to not be the right thing for someone else, then you can't make it the right thing for them. I mean, obviously, like if it's your kids or you have to practice some measures, some discernment. But if the right thing requires you having to take actions or say something or change your mind about something and someone is like not okay with it, but you just have to be okay with someone not being okay with it. And I think Sagittarius is fine with that. Okay, this is Gemini energy. So this is energy that opposes you. So it's good. You're channeling something, in some kind of way, right? You're allowing yourself not to take something so seriously moving forward. Not as much as the Knight of Wands, because you did get the Knight of Wands. It did fall out. You know what I mean? Or something. At some point, it kind of like came out at some point. You didn't get it in the reading yet, but I don't know. But this is like moving forward with something and not feeling stuck anymore because it's coming from a place of being 1/3 Taurus and now it's 2/3 of Gemini. So it's coming from a place of feeling stuck and now I have freedom to move forward. Like you've broken free from something or now you're not feeling, held back. Because at the beginning of the reading you were in some kind of way, right? With this 10 of Swords being here and this 2 of Pentacles. Yeah, so you've gotten away from that, which is great because the Ace of Swords in the Mars position is saying you have, right? You didn't get any more Pentacles really, so you're still kind of like weighing, balancing that out. But you did get Hermit, so that's Earth energy, and it's a 9, and it's related to this Two of Pentacles. So there were some changes that have happened, real ones, definitive, right? Because the Ace of Swords is definitive change. And so are the 10s. But yeah, it's fire and it's air. So it's generating some gasoline, right? So that's good. Or some fuel. Gasoline. Some fuel. Okay? Also, be careful what you say. Make sure that it's not coming from a place of, like that, right? But say what you mean and mean what you say. But you don't have to say what you mean in order to hurt someone, you know? There's nothing like just saying it the way that it's said. If you choose to say something, work. Okay? Bam, Lord. Right. Okay, maybe not. Maybe you're gonna be like, oh, like I said. But this is focusing on you too. This is the frontal lobe and this is your head. This is forward. Moving forward. I am for seeing, and this is being in control of yourself. And knowing that that is the one thing that you can count on, right, is you. What do you want? Okay? What really is motivating you, right? And sometimes you have to push yourself harder than you want to be pushed, right? And sometimes it's not that the elements or that, like, the signs or the universe or somebody's calling you. You literally have to be like, I'm going to push me today. You know what I mean? And this is good because this is mastery, self-mastery, because we're not coming from like, it's a major arcana. We're not coming from like 2 of Wands, 3 of Wands. This is like literally the Emperor. Sorry. You see what I'm saying? And it's fire. It literally is like the first fire card. Pretty much. Kinda. Well, Mercury would be too if you're thinking of like Pluto in the first house and Aries. If you think of that. But this is the first fire card. Because the Magician is really all of the elements. Anyway, and there are 4 elements, right? So you have all of the elements, you. You don't need anyone else to validate you because you validate yourself, right? Keep doing what you're doing, right? Like I said, maturity, growth, right? Achievement too, right? So there's more, there's something to achieve here. Beautiful. Past, present, future all are major arcanas. The Hermit, the Lady, the Lord. Get it. But we do have to look at the top of the top card, which is, the Ascendant position and what's at the bottom of your deck here. And then I think I'm going to pull an Animal Oracle card. Let's see what's at the top. Work. 10 of Cups. I'm liking it. This is Mars in Pisces, okay? And Mars in Pisces is actually putting energy and focus into what is going to be best. Healing, love, pushing past emotional obstacles and emotional boundaries so that we can experience what it is that we know we deserve to in life. And I'm not talking about attachments to physical things, right? It's an attachment to the magic of life, right? And being lost and being in that, right? And choosing that and moving towards that, the beauty of life. What does that mean to you? Bigger picture. When you look at the bigger picture of your life, you start to realize what matters most. And then you start moving towards that. And this is reflecting the Ace of Cups here, right? So you got the Ten of Swords, and you got the Ace of Swords, and you got the Ten of Cups, and you got the Ace of Cups. Okay. And then you got the Nine of Cups in your center position as your present, and then as your ascendant at the very top, which is what you haven't experienced yet that you are going to. Bam! The Ten of Cups. That's good. When you get there, that's getting settled, right? Healing from something emotionally as well, which allows you to get settled in this new chapter of your life. This is also an appreciation, being thankful. Yeah, it's a family card too. So some of you might be wanting to get closer to family, right? Or you might want to expand your family. Or maybe family is being expanded by two parts of the family coming together. That type of thing. Let's look at what's at the bottom. Wow. Should have read this at first. Everything else is really good here. So the fact that I'm reading this now, I'm kind of interested. You know, this is kind of like allowing something to leave, allowing yourself to leave something behind, right? Letting something go, letting go of your emotional attachments to something. That could be anything. It doesn't have to just be a relationship, right? It could be people, places, things, ideas, right? This is also a necessary evil to help so that you strengthen yourself emotionally, right? It was almost destined for you to have this experience of challenge so that you could become stronger, right? So you could see that something else was possible for you as well. Because the fives are related to the Hierophant. And this talks about attachments in ways that we have become accustomed to doing things, being, you know, we like format our lives. So, you know, this is kind of like a little baby death card. So something is changing the format, you know, emotionally. You don't have to focus on the same thing anymore. You don't have to focus the same emotions on that anymore. There's something else now, you know, right? So something got away from you. Great. My hands are open. My hands are free. You know? Open your heart to me, baby. I hold the lock if you hold the key. Alright, don't let that Five of Cups get you down. That's usually the first card that I read. So, you know, it would have been first. And those are also memories that you're healing from, you know, emotional. And it could be wounds from emotional wounds from childhood because the fives are related to wounds from a marriage or really established relationship. You know, still healing. And that's okay, that's great. We're gonna do 1, 2, or 3. I'm getting 3. All right, yes, because there's some new growth that's coming. You have to feel hopeful for the future. You know, this is great. This is hopeful for the future. This is like, you know, having a lot of things to do in the future too, right? Staying busy, keeping yourself busy for sure. And this is great, right? You have a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of growth here, right? Because look at all these babies. Oh, so much promise, right? So much promise. And here's your promise. We got you. We got your back. And for some of you, family got your back. I've got your back. You don't need sex to validate you. You don't need a hot body to validate you. You don't need a hot person to validate you. And you don't need sex to validate you. Although, sometimes it's good when you aren't doing it. But it's COVID, so everybody's being safe, right? As safe as you can. Yeah. So there's something more for you. You just don't realize it yet, you know? But it's gonna hit you in the face one day. Okay? Scorpio season, right? And if some of you are waiting for something to end in terms of a relationship, or if there's a job that you sort of like hate right now, you know, Scorpio season might be doing it for you. All right. I will talk to you all later. Like, share, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell. Follow me on Instagram. It's Providence Tarot. My personal account there is NYC Kendrick. Okay? So wonderful. I will talk to you all soon. Bye.